Hello there and welcome back to another video. Whether you are new or returning, I do really appreciate you choosing to spend some time with me to find out which tarot and oracle decks I'll be using this month, which is August 2025. So in this video I'm going to be sharing the decks that I've chosen to use, but I'm also going to explain how my practice has changed quite recently and how that is informing the choice of my decks for this month. So without further ado, let's take a look. Now, as always, do comment below and please share which decks you'll be using this month too. I love to hear what decks other people are using. Some of you will know that I regularly work with the Season of the Witch decks, and this time round, as we're now in August, it's the turn of the Lammas Oracle. This is the first time that I've used this deck, and what I've been trying to do is to do the Celtic cross that's assigned to this Sabbat. And in the case of this deck, the theme is the sunflower spread. Now, I've already done this, but this spread was to delve a little bit deeper in how you can shine a little bit more brightly and things that are blocking you from truly shining, which was a really in-depth and interesting spread. I really love these decks. They have such a magical quality to them, and I always look forward to using a new one each Sabbath, which works out about six and a half weeks between the festivals on the wheel of the year. I also like to use these as single card pulls or clarifiers. So I'm not particular. Some days I'll just pull one card, some days I will pull more than one card, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail for the next decks that I'm using. But yeah, these never let me down, and they're not afraid to call you out if you need to work on something, but also they are very nurturing and very understanding as well. Now, my practice has been evolving quite rapidly and quite significantly since the end of July, and now we're in the beginning of August. And really what I have been trying to do is to sort of connect the dots a little bit more, and I'm actually using my readings to inform which decks I am going to use next. And so the pairing that I have for you next is the Light Seers Tarot, and I've been pairing it with Angels and Ancestors Pocket Edition and the Herbal Astrology Pocket Edition. So this one is new to me. This was a reward deck. I'll just pop up the screen, me opening it, because I finished the Suit of Swords now for my deck. And so yeah, I was really excited to finally, I've probably had it for a year unopened, to have it in my collection. But I was having a little think, and I had a feeling that these ones would pair nicely together, and I haven't been disappointed so far. And what I have been doing, so last time I used this deck I was a little bit reluctant to try Chris-Anne's Forced Reversals, which is, I think she does this in all of her spreads, and many of you will be familiar with this deck, but this is a new way of working for me. I don't typically do reversals, but I thought I'd give it a go because there has been indication that I need to do a bit of shadow work in some of my recent readings, and so I've been doing the Light Seer and the Shadow Seer. So really the Shadow Seer is where you, no matter how you pull the card, you deliberately reverse it to find those more shadowy or blocked energies. And I've only done it a couple of times, but it has been insightful to get extra clarification or to magnify this reading. I've been using these two as clarifiers. So the Herbal Astrology to clarify the Light Seer's position, and the Angels and Ancestors to clarify or give some advice on how to navigate the Shadow Seer's position. And so far that's worked really well, and I'll just show you how they look together. I'm just going to take the top card off here. And so, yeah, I feel like, you know, the sort of the colours and the line work visually are quite aligned with each other. There we go. And yeah, it's been a really interesting way of playing with, in fact, all three of these were reward decks, and so they're all relatively new to me this year, even though I bought them last year in the Hay House sales. So it's kind of interesting. I find when I use different decks, sometimes I'll get the meaning of one deck but from a different card when I do my visual interpretation, and I've noticed that a few times. So it's kind of, yeah, the message comes through even if my interpretation of the card is slightly different from what it says in the book, but then I find that it's picked up in another card. Let me know, have you ever experienced that? Because that really fascinated me. Another thing I've been doing, just as an aside note, is I've sort of also started to make note of any animals that crop up in the picture, and just to see if there's a running theme, because it's kind of June and July, beginning of July, I was getting a lot of horses cropping up. So I've added a picture of a horse to my altar, because I feel that, you know, somehow a horse might be an animal guide for me to consider, and the message that we can get from horse energy. And I should say, because we are in August, you know, summer is at the point now where it's going to start diminishing and the nights are going to start to draw in. But, you know, working with the Lammas deck already, it is a time of kind of harvest and hopefully feeling that you have some rewards for the efforts that you've put in, and a time really to celebrate achievement. So, and this is a very positive deck, so yeah, it just for me made sense to be using the Light Seers deck. I'm trying to be a bit more mindful with the decks that I'm using and how I'm using my decks, and how I am, I guess, downloading the information from these readings. I will probably do a more in-depth video on this. The last new moon, I decided to do a reading with some signifier cards, as indicated by the ones in the centre here. And this reading I took from the Moonology Manifestation book. You look at the energies currently, next week, following week, and the week after, so giving you a month's overview of the energies that are at play in your life. What I've been doing is I've been taking the cards from that reading, so I was using the Moonology Manifestation deck, but because I sometimes struggle with these cards as they are, I like to have a clarifier card, and I was working with the Rose Oracle. Been using these as a focus for the upcoming week. I'd made a commitment that I was going to work with my Universal Weight at least once a week, as a study deck, but also to, yeah, really just get to know it a little bit better. But I made the decision a couple of weeks ago, when I started doing this process, to really do a deep dive with the RWS cards that I've pulled. And so, to put this into a bit more context, the questions that I decided to use for this spread were based on the past week's readings and anything that was cropped up, any themes. And I'm sure many of you do this already, but this is sort of me taking my practice to the next level, I guess, because I hadn't really connected the dots quite in the way that I've started to do now, and it's been a real eye-opener. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to take this even further, which does mean that I've had an opportunity to play with my Heavenly Bodies Oracle deck, which is a astrology deck, and my Tree of Life Oracle as well, because the Ultimate Guide to Tarot, Liz Dean has included the astrology links and the Kabbalah, which is the Tree of Life connections, to help you understand these cards on a much deeper level. It's great because, as I said, it's meant that I've been able to get 3 decks out that I haven't really been using. So the RWS the heavenly bodies and the tree of life. So I've been using the book to reference, so I'm just taking the Three of Cups here because this was in my last reading, taking the information from the Ultimate Guide to Tarot, using astrology and the tree of life. Visually, this is what you get. Now, the purpose for me doing this, I've mentioned before, I'm not very good at remembering information that I read. Instead of having to read and digest and remember all of this information, which over time I'm slowly starting to get to grips with, for me this is a much more practical and hands-on way of connecting with this card. Obviously, Cups is the sign associated with water and emotions, and so we can see very clearly here that that is picked up in the accompanying card. Whilst doing a deep dive with these cards laid out as they are now, I came up with the sentence, because there's so many cups on here, thinking about the overarching energy of what this card meant for me at the time of doing this reading, was really what fills your cup. So this is typically associated with a very joyful card. What are the things that you can do to almost tap in with your feminine energy, nurture your emotions in a positive way? What can you do to raise your vibration, if you like? So Cancer, obviously being a water sign, the sign of the crab, we've got nurture, comfort and protection here, which we could say is almost what's happening here with the three maidens being together, having each other's backs, celebrating each other, being there for each other. The other thing that astrology tells us is, because it's in the sign of the planet of Mercury, we have think, learn, network and communicate. And look what they're doing. They are networking, communicating, enjoying each other's company. There are cups on the Tree of Life cards. So the mermaid here and this Bina card. And we've got the word divine feminine, which is obviously picked up in our three maidens dancing. If you, like me, struggle to remember large quantities of texts with information, absolutely try this. I'm going to be doing weekly now, and certainly until the end of this year, because I found this a real eye-opener, and it's opened up my understanding on a much deeper level. And at the end of this reading, I'm also returning to the Guardian Angel Oracle deck and just choosing an angel that's going to help with any of the themes, any of the work, any issue that has come up in this reading. This week I pulled Hekome. Any cards that I pull for the week, for the month, for the day, they go up on my altar space, which again is another video. And then I'm using the angel card to be the focus for any daily pulls that I do, if it's more than a single card pull. So this process of trying to be a lot more mindful with the decks that I'm using got me thinking about other decks that I've got in my collection, but I haven't found a place for them to sort of be in my practice. And so whereas Sunday is going to be my kind of looking ahead day, Saturday is now I've assigned as sort of the reflection day. All of the decks have more of a chance of being used. I'm going to rotate it throughout the month. So the first Saturday in the month, I mean, this order might change, is going to be kind of wild woman rewilding of the feminine spirit evaluation. I will be bringing these ones back out. It's either going to be an either or. The reason I'm using these decks is they all have these readings which really I think require a bit more time and allow for reflection on certain aspects in your life. I also want to continue the work with Heavenly Bodies and the Tree of Life, one month, one the following month. I'm going to do a deep dive using Rebecca Campbell's decks. I also have a couple of other decks of hers now, which I got in the Hay House sale, which were early birthday decks. I haven't opened them yet, which is the Healing Waters and the Sacred Stones, I want to say. I might have said the wrong word, because I've got a plan for using these decks. I kind of feel that they can be used as maybe a super deck, but that is a whole other video that will happen sometime in the future. And finally, I have some other cards lying around, quite different, but I've been really having a call from the Morrighan. This is a reading I did based on a reading back in January. Some of you may have seen this before, but these cards cropped up quite recently. Matcha and Bad, I hope I've pronounced that right, who are aspects of the Morrighan, which I think is really a call. As I said, I've been encouraged by the readings to do a little bit of shadow work, so I just have these lying around my craft room. I haven't worked with them a great deal yet, and then I just have I've taken out some cards from the Hush Tarot, and this is from the Divine Animals deck as well, which probably means at some stage, because she does have associations with crows, I'll be getting out my Urban Crow Oracle at some stage as well. But I think that's going to be more deep dive work than something that I'm going to be doing on a daily basis. As always, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it, and I really hope that some of the things I discussed in this video, how I'm connecting with the cards on a deeper level, was helpful for somebody out there. And if it was, please do like and comment to share your thoughts on some of the things I discussed today. And until the next video, here are a couple more videos you can watch in the meantime. I'm Sally, and this is my channel, Vaudeville Manor, House of Art and Tarot. Lots of love to you all. Bye bye.